You'd ordinarily think more people would rally towards Amber's side of the story since the deliberations in court have ended, but it's actually the opposite that's been happening. In fact, more people are even openly coming out to debunk her claims, especially the ones on her mental health issues, further tarnishing her credibility to people. So, exactly what has come up on her mental health claims? Well, while the court battle was ongoing and witnesses were called in to testify, several people came forward and there were a lot of revelations. But there were a few that actually held people's attention. And one of those was Amber's claims of her mental health being in shambles, specifically that she had PTSD. But that narrative was recently debunked by a couple of people online, and that was even outside what Depp's expert witness said on the subject. But we'll circle back to that. A while back, a psychologist told jurors that Amber Heard suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder due to physical and sexual assault at the hands of ex-husband Johnny Depp. The doctor, Don Hughes, testified that she had diagnosed Heard after examining her for 29 hours and reviewing therapy records, and that she had concluded that Depp engaged in a high degree of violence. Hughes recounted numerous instances of alleged sexual violence, which she said were motivated by Depp's obsessive jealousy and a desire to show dominance. Although Dr. Hughes did seem to have made a pretty good diagnosis at the start, all that was later challenged by another psychologist who was also tasked with a responsibility regarding the case. The expert, Dr. Shannon Curry, began by refuting the possibility of Amber Heard ever having PTSD and that the claims of her even getting that diagnosis, coupled with intimate partner violence, were all inaccurate. According to her, there are generally three main categories to her rebuttal. She then continued saying, "The first is that Dr. Hughes misrepresented the tests and the results she utilized in the evaluations. She misrepresented my testing and the results I obtained in my evaluation, and she provided testimony in a manner that presented her own opinions and the self-report of Ms. Heard as facts." She then referenced the use of 8 checklists that are not appropriate for forensic settings because they are easily exploited. One of those checklists, Dr. Curry continued, was the PTSD checklist, or PCL-5, which she described as a screening instrument only. It contains every single symptom of PTSD, she told the court, adding, "There's a secondary danger here too when you think about it, given that PTSD is the most frequently feigned and claimed diagnosis in civil court. If you're handing someone a checklist that lists every symptom of PTSD, you're essentially teaching them all the little nuances that we're looking for to give that diagnosis." The doctor continued, "She gave that to Ms. Heard. Ms. Heard endorsed most of the items on the list, and Dr. Hughes diagnosed her with PTSD and substantiated that opinion by Ms. Heard's checking those items on the PCL.
I also gave her the CAPS-5. I don't know if you'll remember, but that is the clinician-administered PTSD scale consistent with the DSM-5, and on that there were signs of gross exaggeration. I also looked at the test results that were provided by Dr. Hughes, and on an objective test of trauma, there is a scale specific to intentional exaggeration on that test, and Ms. Heard was in the 98th percentile, meaning that she had engaged in extreme levels of exaggeration.
The subject had a lot of fans talking, and within all the uproar that's been happening on social media, what has actually garnered a lot of reactions all over the world. This is because the user directly challenged Amber's doctor's claims of her PTSD score. The user wrote, "I am a disabled combat veteran that lost a close friend in Iraq in 2005. Amber Heard scored much higher than me on her PTSD test, according to Dr. Hughes. Evidently, being married to Johnny Depp is far more traumatic than the Iraq War. #Justice for Johnny Depp. As sad as it is still a little bit funny that Amber and her team believe that her marriage to Johnny could be worse than war." And that's exactly what this other user implied when they wrote, "It's impossible to reach your scores unless you are cheating on the test. It's not designed to have a perfect score, so if you score that high you cheated, you are clearly faking it. Even people with severe PTSD don't score that high and have that many traits." As if that didn't already do enough damage to Amber and her people, she went on to discuss some other parts of Amber's problems, specifically that she diagnosed Amber of having 2 psychiatric problems, which were borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder. According to the doctor, her diagnosis and analysis came from the examination of Heard's previous psychological assessments, coupled with direct examination on 2 occasions and participation in a Minnesota multiphasic personality inventory test at a court in Alexandria. Curry said that Heard displayed a reactive, overly dramatic presentation and used words like magical and wonderful to describe events. Heard, she said, flitted between princess and victim, as sophisticated, cute, cute and girlish as such people may present, Curry said they may in reality be very destructive, dramatic, erratic, and unpredictable, and possessed of an underlying drive to not be abandoned but also to be the center of attention. Curry stated that borderline personality disorder represented an unstable personality, alert to rejection with little access to self-regulation, and marked by a lot of anger and cruelty toward people less powerful, concerned with image, attention-seeking, and prone to externalizing blame, and a lot of suppressed anger that may explode outwards. Anyone attempting an intimate relationship with such a personality would likely go from idolized to dumpster. It was typical of borderline personalities to be assaultive as partners. They'll make threats using the legal system, threaten to file for a restraining order, or claim assault. The thing about the statements made by Dr. Curry is that they fit perfectly with the evidence provided on Amber being the assaulter and trying to paint herself as the victim. Now, from the evidence provided coupled with the experience of real people with real problems, it's obvious that Amber was definitely lying about her PTSD claims, and while the jurors can't exactly access the internet, we hope it comes into play when they make their decision. What else would you like them to take into account in their decision?